Fiddler auf dem Dach. Meshuggah, nein. Aber bei uns in einer Tefke ist jeder einer ein Fiddler auf dem Dach. Was will auskratzen, poscheten, harzigen Niggen und doch nicht sprechendem Kopf. Und es ist nicht so leicht. Wett ihr, müsst mir fragen, vor was bleiben wir da sitzen, ob die Sakone ist so groß? Wir bleiben, weil an der Tefke ist unser Heim. Und wir so halten wir es Tacke aus. Auf dem hab ich ein Entfer. Gott ist ein Vater und heilig ist sein Teure.
Tradition, 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 Tradition.
In Schluss von unser heiliger Teure.
Well. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Creative Connections, New Light Theater. We are sitting down with some artists and talking about how they're keeping creative and how they're staying connected during quarantine, during the time of COVID, and in the middle of the world and how the world is right now. My name is Newton Buchanan. I'll be your host, and I'm joined by the lovely Lena Muchetti. Hello, Lena.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm the 2020 version of good.
Great.
Yeah.
There it is. That's not great. That's just, it is what it is.
It's great for what we have right now.
It's great for what we have, yes. And we are joined today by the lovely and talented Lauren Thomas. Hi, Lauren.
Hi. Thank you. Good to be here with you guys.
Well, thanks so much for being here with us. Lauren, we've known each other for a while. We were just talking about that. And we're so excited so excited to have you on the show today, or on our session, on our conversation, to have a chat with you. So thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking me.
Yeah, of course. Hello, everyone who's joining us out there in Facebook land, on our Facebook Live. If you've been following us along in our Creative Connections journey, you know that we're going to talk to Lauren for a little bit. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them in the comments section just below the live here. And near the end of the session, we'll come back and try to pull some of those out and see if we can get Lauren to wax eloquently about some answers or opinions that she may have here. And also at the end of this video, we'll be releasing a little video that Lauren has so graciously done for us. And as you know, for every one of our Creative Connections, we try to have our artists put out some type of tutorial or something that might help you, something that's helped them during quarantine that might help you as well. So great. So let's hop right in. Lena, can you tell us a little bit about Lauren?
Yeah, so it's been over a decade, right? Was what we just figured out. Well over a decade.
Yeah, well over.
And I worked with Lauren during our time at Hedgerow Theater in Media, Pennsylvania. Lauren was then in high school and an incredible musician and actress. And she went on to get her BFA in musical theater from Boston University, and then studied classical acting at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, and made her way to New York. And she then played Reza in the national tour of Once the Musical, and most recently played the titular fiddler in Fiddler on the Roof in Yiddish, off-Broadway, directed by the incomparable Oscar and Tony-winning Joel Grey. So just a little cred.
Just some credits. Just a few credits, you know. How's like that?
Killer role.
Yeah. You're the star, you know.
People after the show, I had so many people after the show come up to me and be like, because they were looking for Tevye, but they were older people, and they'd be like, "Where's the fiddler? Where's the fiddler?" They meant Tevye because they thought
that he was the fiddler.
And it's Yiddish, so maybe they didn't follow the character name.
That makes a lot of sense. I just for 1 second want to just hear you play.
Uh-oh.
Fiddler auf dem Dach.
Oh, so nice.
Thanks.
So nice. So nice. Okay, so I have I have a lot of questions.
Okay.
But I'm going to start off with what I think is the most difficult question, okay? So I like to front load the sessions with the most difficult question.
Okay.
Lauren, how are you? Like really? Like how are you?
Like really?
Like really?
Well, I think now I'm definitely in a different place than I think we all were in March. I think March, we were all in this mindset that we just got to get through the next few months and then life will go back to normal. And it's become pretty evident that this is our normal for at least a year. So I feel I've come to terms with it as much as you can. I'm very fortunate that, my show with Fiddler, we closed in January before the pandemic. And we thought we were going to do a tour in China. We were going to do a tour. And that got canceled because of the pandemic, but we were already able to file for unemployment. So so some of my friends who, lost shows on Broadway have just now started getting their unemployment checks. So us that were in Fiddler, we're really lucky that we were able to get on unemployment before all of this. So I am definitely aware of the ways in which I've been privileged in all of this. And the fact that my husband and I don't have to stay in our 300 square foot apartment. We were able to come to the suburbs and stay with my parents, which has been so nice to get some space. So I feel, I feel I'm doing well. Every day, you take each day as it comes.
That's right. One day at a time.
Yes.
One step at a time, to make your way through. And I've noticed that as we move through these creative connection conversations, every time I ask that, the severity of the answer starts to kind of diminish a little bit. And I think there's a little bit of numbing and or getting used to, or whatever the word you want to use, that I think that we're all kind of starting to do, a little acceptance and a little bit of like, all right, cool. This is what it is. We're all in this.
Yeah.
We're all doing this thing. And thanks for acknowledging your privilege. I think like I also try to make space and make sure I mention that there are people who haven't had, the opportunity to either slow down or have been slowed down in a way that is not conducive to like the rest of their life, or haven't had the opportunities to even apply for unemployment or go to their parents' house or whatever it may be. I also try to make sure that we mention and give those people and those individuals some space here too, because that's a real thing, and that's a real kind of like part of their life and other people's lives here too.
Absolutely. And I think for a lot of us, this has kind of been we've had to shift our perspective on a lot of things. And I think with that in mind, now asking, how are you doing?
Yeah.
It's, well, given everything, I'm really lucky, blessed,
Right. Yeah. I also, I realize that sometimes asking someone how they're doing is maybe unfair or puts them in a place where they have to try to figure that out on the spot. So I want to acknowledge that too, and I appreciate you letting us know how you're doing.
Appreciate you guys.
Oh, Lauren. Lena. I know I asked you how are you, but how are you? You just came back from somewhere. Where'd you just come back from?
Oh, me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I came back from the epicenter. My parents live in Florida, and we are absurdly close, and it's been crushing our souls to be apart. And my sister lives in Nevada, and so my sister and I kind of made a somewhat spontaneous mutual decision to drive across the country to get to my parents' house and meet there.
Yeah.
And with no plans to go anywhere outside of their house at all,
right.
but just together, not knowing when we might be able to do that again.
Yeah.
Megan, my sister, drove 4 days across the country, and it took us 2 with the kids because we had to stop to get to Florida, and we just got back on Sunday. So quarantining here, even though we quarantined in Florida, just to make sure.
Just to make sure.
Florida.
Yeah. And the reason I bring it up is because I think that everyone is trying to figure out their way of like dealing with this, and like trying to figure out their way of still being close to family. And, you know, if this wasn't going on and the three of us would be in the same room right now doing this, it would be really great.
You'd not even be doing this. I mean,
that's actually
Lauren touring the world, fiddling for people.
That's so true. That's true.
So,
yeah,
I mean, it's that's also something, you know, I think in a way this has brought us closer to our community.
Yeah, in a strange way, and not the way that we expected, right?
Or wanted.
Yeah, yeah.
but definitely, I think, I don't know, it's definitely making me more grateful for the relationships that I do have, and for just the ability to create and make things together. I mean, oh my God, I will never complain about a rehearsal again.
You complained about rehearsals? I don't believe you. I don't believe that you did.
I love rehearsal, but I think there's always a tension that forms towards when you're on the brink of creating something really beautiful.
Sure.
There's a stress and a tension and a passion that creates clash.
Yeah, it's usually like 5 days before opening. Yeah, that's when the fire in the gut.
Or like, like you're in the middle of previews.
Or yeah, that's so true. Yeah, so true.
And the response from the audience hasn't been what it's, you know, you wanted it to, or
yeah. Well, I just wanted to touch on, you know, the lengths that people are also trying to take to stay close to people that they love, and to make and to do things that are actions of love and closeness and proximity, to try to keep things great. So I commend you, Lena, for going to go see your parents.
Thanks. In the epicenter.
Did you have a good time though there?
Yeah, it was very
good.
Healing. The goodbye was hard, but it was very good. Yeah.
Good. That's what's most important.
Yes.
So Lauren, we have these conversations, and you want to tell us a little bit about your journey to where you are. You start off at Hedgerow doing some Hedgerow theater.
Guys.
Yeah, we're all Hedgerovians. We're old hats there. But now you're like doing some really great things. So, you know, in no uncertain way, how did you make that move? What got you there?
Well, I think growing up, I felt like there were two parts of me. There was the musical side of me where I was in, you know, band and orchestra and did all the nerdy music stuff. That was my life in the school. And then I had this other part that was theater. And like when I did Tempest with you guys, that was my first, that show holds such a special place in my heart because it was my first Shakespeare show I ever did.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
I'd never really, besides, you know, maybe Romeo and Juliet and some stuff we had to read for school, I'd never really delved into Shakespeare before. And so I felt like I had these two parts of me pulling. So I applied to college, and BU was actually, it's not a musical theater school, it's an acting school. So I went 4 years without doing like any singing, any music, and it wasn't until my senior year that I started trying to integrate my playing into my art, into my theater performance, I guess. And I remember feeling so stressed as I was leaving college of like, I'm never going to be able to have everything I love at the same time. Like I have to make choices. And I was, you know, when you're 21, that's so overwhelming. You feel like you need to decide your life. And what I found was when you enter the world of performers, you're all pounding the pavement and going to audition after audition, and you find your people. You find people that share your interests. And, you know, I was able to find those other people like me who also were instrumentalists but also loved performing. And I remember the first time I saw Once the musical, I was like, oh my God, that's what I want to do. Like, that is so cool. They're playing, they're the orchestra, but they're doing it in a theatrical way. It's not just like sitting and playing. They're using they're storytellers. And so and also, I mean, right place, right time. Like I was living, after college, I was a little burnt out. So and I fell in love with my now husband, and he's Turkish. And because of visas, we couldn't stay in the same place. So I ended up moving to Turkey for 2 years. And I taught English there. I mean, when I was living in Turkey, that's suddenly when I picked up my violin again. And I was doing this book that my college voice teacher had required all of us to get, called The Artist's Way, which I'm sure you guys have heard of. Yeah, it's like an actor Bible by Julia Cameron. And so much of what she says is finding art in mundane things. Like, you can be artistic with anything you do. So I was taking myself on artist dates in Turkey to try to like rediscover what I like doing, and just putting myself out of my comfort zone. And towards the end of my time in Turkey was when the military coup happened. And it was around that time when I saw on like backstage that they were looking for actor musicians for Once. So from Turkey, I submitted my video for Once, and I found that at one of the universities near where I was living, I got one of the theater students to come and like read sides with me.
Wow.
It was really like kismet, that whole experience. And I was a replacement for Reza because they'd already all been on the road for a year.
Sure.
So I got cast, and I had literally a week to learn the show. And it was, I was literally faking it till that fake it till you make it thing. I felt so like, I don't belong with these people. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, they hired the wrong person, 100%. But I just was like, doesn't matter. Like, you have to do this. So you have to like pretend you know this.
Yeah. I find that in those moments is when I'm afraid, or like when I definitely feel like I'm out of a fish out of water, is when like I know that what's going to come next is like this really great experience. And I come out of that feeling really great. Did you have that same feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I think it, first of all, like I couldn't not feel proud of myself for doing such a hard thing. Yeah. It's like for something that I really didn't feel I was capable of doing. Yeah. And I'm not lying when I'm like, I had to lie to myself that you can do this. I mean, I have breakdowns every night in the hotel. When we did tech in, I think, South Dakota or something. And every night in the hotel room, I was like practicing and crying. And it was like, I am going to make an ass out of myself. But the greatest experience, the greatest thing that came from that whole experience was the community. It opened up this whole world of actor musicians to me. And just like other people who are like weird and, you know, like they're not mainstream musical theater performers.
Sure. Yeah. A little off the beaten path in terms of the people, the artists.
Like people who kind of had to
find weird people before, because you're on a call with at least one of them.
Wait, say that again?
I think you knew some weird people before, because you're on a call with at least one of them.
At least one. We're not gonna say which one it is.
Right.
It's just one of the three people on here was a weirdo and has been a weirdo for a long time.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
The audience knows who it is.
Well, imposter syndrome is very real for, I think, most artists, right? It sounds like you had a serious case of that.
Yeah, but also I don't mean to like be self-critical, but I was coming from 2 years not performing.
Right.
Just suddenly doing not just like a 200 person theater, but for like 3,000 seats, theater to theater, these like huge venues. And I I mean, I remember the sound guy was putting the mic on me and he was like, have you used one of these before? And I was like, yeah, but I was like, no, I've never used like this high tech.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. Like, could you refresh me? Like, because I was just so embarrassed to admit and I don't think I'd be that way now, but at the time I felt so ashamed by like, I don't want anyone to be able to guess that I'm not as experienced as I wish I were.
The fear of being found out.
Yeah.
I wonder out there in Facebook, if you're an artist or if you're not an artist, have you had an experience or a time in your life when you're working on something and you're kind of like, oh, I should not be here, but you are there.
You have to do it. Not only
and
are
you have to do it, and you have to, you got to do it.
Contract.
yeah. That contract's been signed.
Yeah.
You've gotten at least one of your checks, so you got to go. I think that those are the moments that really, there's a couple things. Those are the moments I feel where it's like, it's really tough. It's really hard. You're questioning your own artistry. You're questioning, why are you even doing this? Or like, I shouldn't be here. But then that process, something comes out of it always, some type of revelation, some type of learning, some type of new thing or perspective of yourself and your own work and your own perspective comes out of that. And then the other thing that I also wanted to circle back on is like the idea of taking 2 years off to not do any art or theater at all, and still being able to find some kind of place in theater, in using music and that kind of thing, and in that process also finding your people and finding your tribe and finding the people that are around you that can cultivate that with you. What was that feel like? Talk to me more about that community that you found and what kind of feelings going from 2 years off to back on the saddle, but then also finding people around you. Talk a little bit about that.
I think what I think is important to like say is that when I say 2 years off, I was constantly thinking about artistry the entire, even though I was teaching, I was still, it wasn't like I closed off that piece of myself. So I think there was this quote, I've become very into quotes, probably because of The Last Dance. I got like very inspired by a lot of like what Michael Jordan was saying. But this wasn't even a Jordan quote, but I just had to bring up Last Dance.
Lauren, what is the quote?
Sorry. I think it's a Will Smith quote, but maybe it's not. But it's something like, I made sure to be ready at all times, so that way when opportunity came, I didn't have to get ready. Yeah, I'm butchering the quote. I should find
the sentiment is there. Yeah.
But but the gist of it is that idea that even though I was doing 2 years of not performing in the way that I wanted to be, and doing the types, like I remember feeling just so frustrated constantly of like, I wish I were doing this. I'm feeling jealousy for people that were doing things that I wasn't doing and a lot of that. But I was constantly using that time I was practicing violin every day. And I was still like, even the fact that I was able to find that casting call, I was clearly like looking.
Still, yeah, sure.
My radar was.
But I'm wondering about your motivations for practicing every day. So were you practicing every day because of the quote you just said, or were you practicing every day because you really enjoyed it and you just were like, I don't want to lose this? Or, because I think there's a difference between taking an action with an end goal, like I'm going to make sure that I have this going just in case Disney calls, or or is it that I just want to make sure that I really love this craft and I want to be better at it for no other reason but that. But I'm wondering what your motivations were.
I think that was a lot of it. I think it was I had time again to invite music back into my life, and It's it's something I love, and growing up it could become a chore. And yes, and I think I just want to be better. I want to like keep pushing myself to be a musician, and that was something that during once I had to fight this perfectionist nature because I didn't have time. I could not be perfect.
Right.
So that did huge things for my musicianship, because I had to be okay with not being an amazing violinist. I had to play the music, and I had to do it with passion, because that was all I could bring. I couldn't magically make my technique better, but I could. My intention could be there for the storytelling.
I got goosebumps right now, because that stuff, that's like, I think as artists, it is like, how do I become better? And there is that, but then there is a time where it's like, how do I just play?
Yeah.
How do I have a good time here? How do I make the
like, this is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
We chose.
Yeah. There's a reason they call it play. It's a play. They don't call it it's a work. I went downtown. I went to Broadway and saw a work. Did you see a work there? I saw there a couple of works on we call these plays, and I think that is something that as artists, because we take our art, I think, very seriously. Not all artists, but some do, most do. At some point, some artists is taking their work seriously, but I think that is important to have. But I think there's a time and place, right? And there's a moment where you have to kind of let go and go, all right, let's play and see what happens.
I mean, you have to allow yourself to trust that you've done the work.
Yeah.
That they believed in you enough to hire you. So why not believe in yourself?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which for me has been like a much harder thing to accept than talk about,
Sure. And I think there's a couple things that come in there, right? Of like, they hired me, so I better prove that I'm worth it, right? I better do really, really, really good,
right? Yeah.
Because I want them to hire me again. I want them to say good things about me,
right?
So there's all that in there. So it gets a little nuanced and a little complicated, but that idea of getting out of your own way is, I think, really, really, really important. Talk to me now a little bit about the community that you found there. You found like some friends and folks, and talk to me about those guys.
People. Yeah, I mean, I'd never like done like music gigs before that show, and suddenly after that show, I was like being asked to start improvising and playing gigs with people, or like playing backup, and I met people who introduced me to the world of bluegrass, and have since done other actor musician shows where I've gotten to meet musicians who they're amazing. Like, I've gotten to meet violinists who are amazing violinists, but they can't read music. They've done it all by ear, and which is the complete opposite of my background. And so to get a valuable lesson in the fact that there's not one right way to do something, and all sides of whatever way you come at the same, right? Our goal to perform or be a musician or whatever side you're coming from, you're all going towards the same place, and you can get there on so many different roads, but and you can learn, you never stop learning.
Did you ever feel like in those 2 years, like I'm sure you were teaching English, correct?
Yeah, I was teaching ESL.
Yeah. Did you ever feel like in those 2 years, I'm losing time?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that'll happen to me. That thought creeps in. It's like my monster, Yeah. I call it. She's an entity outside of myself. Loves to like judge decisions. I know we all have this monster, right?
Yeah.
And
very, very loud voice. Everyone's monster has.
Super loud. And so that'll creep in when I'm unemployed, you know, happens all the time as an artist. Doesn't matter if you go from having a great gig, when that contract ends, you're back to, you know, just on the pavement again and auditioning. Right. And for sure, I think that comes from trying to like, it's almost like pointing blame on something for why you're not like happy, or why, I don't know. It's really, it just is damaging to think, to look on your past and think about what could have happened, because that's not where you are.
Yeah.
All of the things you're saying are very relevant right now too, right? Like, all artists are unemployed, not necessarily because they're not good enough to get the gig, but we all are still hearing those same voices, even though the industry is kind of shut down. I still feel like I'm losing time, and I'm losing chances to make connections, and I'm losing the ability to do this project that I wanted to do. But everyone's in the same boat, so it's a little more rational, but it's there. Right?
Yeah. But I think it's like a reminder, right, that even when things are completely out of your control, you're still going to have that voice, right?
It's not a reflection of your worth or your talent, especially now, but you still feel it, that pressure.
That voice is there when you're quote unquote succeeding or making strides. That voice is there too anyway. We just talked about it, right? It's like, even when you're doing really great things, that voice is like, you're not good enough.
Oh my God.
You know?
Absolutely.
So tell me about some ways that you've, you know, tried or attempted, or things that work for you, even if you'd like to share, that help you kind of quiet that voice. Because I personally don't think it's good to silence that voice. I think it's a good voice to have in certain senses, because I think it needs to be given space, because it is a part of you, and ignoring it can do some other things. But so tell me about what kind of ways, techniques, things, activities, things that have helped you kind of quiet that voice.
Therapy, for sure. Every week, you know.
It's important, man.
If your healthcare coverage covers it, it is a great
go for it.
Yeah, and I think what's also important for me to talk is the privilege of being able to go to therapy.
Sure.
I think that's, with everything that's going on, and just understanding how many people like could benefit so much from therapy, and not that it's the right route for everyone, but people who just don't have the means to access it, or it's just not available to them, or not even financially, but also like, I mean, the majority of therapists out there are white, and the access to like a person who understands your experience and where you're coming from, I mean, I think that's all within that. I'm understanding, like, I am the fact that I'm able to like address my monster and like take the time to like chat with her, that is like a huge privilege that I have in my life. But something that has helped so much. I mean, as soon as I got back from Turkey, and as soon as I finished once, that's when I sought someone, because I was like, I'm not a professional. I don't want to keep having the same conversations with myself over and over.
I think that I think is the thing that I pull out of what you're saying, is that, you know, working on something in a cave by yourself is totally a little lightning. We've got some storms coming through in the Northeast here. Just want everyone at home to be aware. Working on something in a cave by yourself brings about all kinds of different challenges, I think. One of them is like, is this right? I know it's right. I think it's right. Or is this wrong? I think it's wrong. But when you introduce community, when you introduce this opportunity to put those feelings and thoughts out in a place where there's no judgment, and it's just kind of like everyone, the person or the community that you might be putting those feelings and thoughts out to, are rallied around you and the goal of lifting you up. I think that is also therapy too. I think, you know, everyone can find their way of doing that, of getting things out to examine them, so you don't feel like, you know, you don't, I hate the word, but am I crazy, or you know, or do I have this right? And I think, you know, even just having people listen to you is also just someone who's going to listen without judging you and without like,
or telling you to pull yourself together.
Yeah. I think it's really important. And I think you're right, Lena, like around this time is when we're all kind of being traumatized in these little micro ways and in some major ways too. And I think it will be really important for everyone involved, and those of you who are watching at home, to seek out ways of like of coping, right? Of dealing with, of examining your feelings, and finding the community, the tribe and the village that's going to help uplift you, and seeking that out. And that's always easier said than done. I know that. But I think it's really important for everyone, artists and everyone alike, to have someone who's going to listen to them without judgment. It's really nice. I'd like to take a moment right now to just, if you've got something at home to sip, just go ahead and sip on that. We'll take our sip pause.
I just got fizzy.
What do you got? Ooh, oh. What do you have there, Lauren?
It's right, I don't know how to pronounce this. Jai Lai?
Oh, Jai Lai?
Yeah, Jai Lai.
I have no idea what that is.
Fancy.
But is it a beer?
Yes.
Do you have the container that it's in?
Yeah. A little squash.
Oh yeah. Oh, Jai Lai. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love it.
I've had that. That's a tasty. It's sessionable.
Yeah.
Lena, what do you got? What do you got going on over there? Yeah.
I just have some white wine in the product placement glass today.
Oh, is that a New Light Theater wine glass?
It is.
Oh, okay. You can find a New Light Theater merchandise. No, you can't find it on our website, but if you would like that, you can email us though.
In my basement.
We can sell it to you. We'll sell that to you if you would like that. We have T-shirts and mugs. I'm just having some Hennessy on ice is what I'm having here.
All right.
I don't even know what Hennessy is.
He's a fancy man in a vest over there.
Fancy liquor. Strong old man liquor. Okay, speaking of liquor. So now you're here now. So you kind of take you through this journey, which is very cool. You're here now. And so you said therapy is helping you get through some things, but what other activities of artistic expression outside of some of the work that you've done have you been getting into? I know, I saw a...
See my weird ass video?
Which one? I saw...
What I do now.
Go ahead, take it away. Take it away, Lauren.
Guys, I've been bored and I've been I've been getting excited, but I have all of these creative ideas. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the thing that I run into a lot, and other artists I've heard have run into the same problem, is come up with an idea, but then the follow through that's the tough part, right? It's always easy to have an idea. And I mean, I've had so many projects where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm still working on that. And like something I've been working on for 5 years that has never come to fruition. So anyway, I have been, as a side gig to try to make more money since the theater's done right now, is I've been trying to teach, I've been teaching like violin and piano and theory. And so I had this idea to start some like 5-minute videos for kids to do some just, YouTube thing, try to recruit new students, and so I was trying to make this one video the other day, and it just kept coming out like just really not appropriate for kids. So that, I think, is the video Newton's talking about, where
it is
on my Instagram. If
But
you,
why isn't it appropriate for kids?
I mean, I just think I got a little dark. Dark. It's a actual, yeah. Oh my god.
The
Yeah.
Me Do game. Tell us about the Me Do game.
It's a real game that you use to teach solfege. So solfege is that do re mi fa sol la ti do, that thing with the hand symbols and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's this game where you're trying to get little kids. It's geared towards kindergartners or first, second grade, whatever. Hi, I taught ESL to
Did you
kids.
teach? Do you know what children are?
Right. It's meant for young kids where they're
Okay.
just learning solfege, and you repeat. You want them to repeat after you, like Simon says, but they can't repeat me do, or else they become the dodo bird, and like the dodo bird, they're extinct, so they don't get to play anymore.
Right. And you made this got dark because I realized it got a little dark because you started talking about why the dodo bird isn't around anymore.
I added some exciting graphics that I thought.
Oh, the graphics are just stunning. Let me see what I can find here. It's just really good. Oh yeah, there's a
Yeah, see my dodo bird flying around. Yeah.
yeah.
All that with iMovie.
There's a clock. Uh-huh. This is great.
Oh.
This is great. I love the backdrop though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know we're
So-
all getting home setups now.
We are all getting home setups. I went to go look at, there's like a couple things on Amazon or where else you would like to get them because
Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, man. Also, I think I like the Lena and I talk about, we like the idea that every time someone orders a package that Jeff knows that package. Or he's like,
A South Park episode.
oh maybe.
I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
We're in. I think it was the most recent season of South Park. There's a great episode all about Jeff Bezos and Amazon.
Oh, I'd love to check that out. We'll link that in the comment section.
Link that in.
So you're making sorry. I was looking at home system. So I was looking at some things for that, and the prices have just gone up. They're just like really
I'm
expensive
sure.
now. Oh yeah, craziness. So you're at home, you're making things, you're being creative.
Yeah. Well, I'm still trying to do. I mean, for whatever it's worth, I'm still sending in self tapes. But I've been getting frustrated because you can see if people are viewing them, and people aren't even watching them, and so it's
Right.
getting a little demoralizing.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to.
Screaming into a void or something.
Sorry.
Does it feel like you're screaming into a dark room?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as artists, it's so important to have interaction,
Yeah.
and to feel like you're creating for someone and not for your iPhone.
Yeah.
And it's so that the silly as it was, that Me Dodo video, it was something that I was feeling creative and having fun with.
Hey, I'm saying more power to you because we gotta find ways to scratch the itch,
Yeah.
Lena, how are you keeping creative? What's one way that you've, besides hanging out with me and talking to these wonderful people?
That's a lot of it. I feel like, well, I'm also a photographer, so I have kind of that creative outlet going, even though all of my actual photography gigs were also canceled. I have less room for actual creation, and I have to take up so much more room in trying to plan for the theater and what is planning, because what is time and what is it, and then what is theater anymore. So I'm going through just stacks of plays and trying to come up with 8 contingency plans based on whatever timelines are coming. So I'm not creating so much as planning to be creative. So
You're producing.
yeah, I guess so.
Producing.
Producing.
Which I think is a form of creation. It's the prep.
So,
Like before you cook a meal, you gotta like go, what kind of meal am I gonna cook? How many potatoes and carrots do I have? You gotta go through all that stuff before you can be like, bam, hit the spice on them, Salt Bay on the side. You gotta like, you know, you have to like, there's a little bit of planning and producing and planning to create that you have to do. So
Yeah.
speaking of food, oh, you like that? The transition's been made. Transition,
Good.
I love a good meal. So, Lauren, what have you been eating during quarantine?
Well, I went through the bread phase, like
Great.
a lot of people.
Yeah. I didn't do it because I was like, too many people are doing it. I was like, I'm good.
No, I know. We were annoying.
You went into, do you have a starter kit?
A starter kit?
Do you have a starter?
No, I was just
Starter
doing
dough?
yeast, and sometimes I didn't make a starter. I just did.
Starter first. Usually starters for like sourdough.
I didn't do that. I wasn't trying to do sourdough.
Oh, okay, you were just making bread.
I was trying to make bread the fastest way possible.
Gotcha.
Which, you know, after a month, I realized is just buying it.
You're like, all right, this is bread.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
There it is.
I mean, because I'm living with my parents, I've become kind of the cook of the house. Like,
Oh.
like suddenly I came, and now they're like, I mean, they like are, you know, suddenly they're eating dinner together. They didn't used to like have everyone was, you know, busy, so they would just eat on their own. And now it's like, oh, when's dinner? What are you making? Or
What are you making, Lauren? What are you making for us?
do you have enough for us? Or
Do you have any performance anxiety for cooking? For your
no,
family? Okay.
No.
You're all about it. You're like, I got you.
no, I love cooking.
Me too.
I really do. Yeah.
Oh, that makes three of us.
Oh, nice.
Lena's a good cook.
Well, it's a very creative thing.
It is.
That's-
it is.
I've done a lot of that. So there's my creativity. Just a
A lot of
lot.
cooking.
Yeah. I've been told
Be a cameraman.
Oh, and Lena's confectionate delights that she has. She makes really great desserts, and they're just like stupid good. We gotta invite you. Well, when everyone's allowed to be in the same space again.
everyone's invited. Everyone.
Yeah,
Is.
I'm going to extend an Muketi invitation to the cookie party, the holiday cookie party that's there.
Are you known for your cookies?
At Christmas time, at least. Yeah. There's a wide variety of cookies, and then some other baked goods for the holidays. Because what I used to do is bake it all, put them in boxes, and mail them to people as like a Christmas greeting. And then I was like, but if I make them come to me, then I get to hug them and hang out with them.
Aww.
Yeah.
Party instead, and just like making hundreds and hundreds of baked goods and bribing people to come spread some holiday cheer at my house.
It is a lot of work, but it is so great.
Yay.
So great.
So nice.
Yeah, you may get some cookies in the mail because I think we have your address now.
That might happen.
I would.
All right, so we're at the moment. Let's take another sip break since Lauren's already there.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Great. Lena, can we go to the comment section and see what we got going on popping over there? Lauren, we're going to see if we got some people who are asking some questions.
We do. So Lauren, we didn't actually talk a lot about your fiddler experience, but there are lots of questions about it.
Okay.
So did you learn Yiddish for the show? Did you already know some, or did the fiddler not really need to know any Yiddish?
So, funny story. The fiddler did not speak any Yiddish in the show, but for my audition, I had to learn the entire Firmasora song. So like, and I had to learn like the entire song. I had to learn in Yiddish, and I had to learn Yente's full monologue, which I still backstage because it would be on the monitor, and I would every show I would recite it like Kinder, das ist dein Trest auf die ältere Jahren. Like I remember the whole thing still, and I had to sing tradition. It was a lot, and then they only asked me to play like 8 bars on violin. For my callback, I did all of that again, but then I had to like learn some of the fiddle dance. So when I got into rehearsals, I was thinking like, oh, I'm gonna be
about
doing
the really
fiddler.
I'll be in this show.
But no, no one's talking. But I in the show I did get to do a lot more playing. Well, obviously normal fiddlers are dancers, so they don't typically play.
That's right.
But because I was coming in as a violinist, as an actor musician, they involved me in a lot more of the show than a fiddler typically would be. So that was pretty cool. But then once we transferred, so we started at the Museum of Jewish Heritage, and then we transferred uptown off Broadway. And that's when I started understudying some roles. So I understudied 2 of the Littlest Daughters. So I had to go on for one of them once in a crisis situation, which was very funny. But so I did have to learn their Yiddish for the show.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That is.
I also just want to say, like, I think we talked about this earlier, but if you listen to the soundtrack of that show, the cast recording, Lauren is the fiddler in the first track and in most of the track. But when the Yiddish comes in, it just, something about it just like feels so right and feels so, I guess, grounded is the word that we kind of like landed on earlier. You talk about how like really quickly, just your experience of like, we all know Fiddler on the Roof, but Fiddler on the Roof, but in Yiddish.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it grounded it. It took the pressure off of everyone because Fiddler's done so much and everyone knows the story. And I think people in their minds have this image of what Tevye is supposed to be, what Golda is supposed to be. And Joel and our creative team cast them purposefully not in those stereotypical ways. So they casted a very sensitive Tevye. He's this amazing actor, Stephen Skywell, has had an amazing career. Also an incredible Shakespeare performer. He teaches at Yale School of Drama. He's an incredible artist. But his Tevye, he wasn't doing that shtick that so many Tevyes do. And he wasn't constantly talking bad about Golda. There was real love between the 2 of them. And he was just so dedicated to wanting to know, to be a better Jew and to better understand God's word. And it was so dedicated to that whereas, I think a lot of times when people think of Tevye, they're not thinking about his relationship with God. They're thinking about this guy who gets a lot of the Torah wrong. Like he misses it a lot. So that was something really special. And just the magic of hearing his If I Were a Rich Man in Yiddish. I remember we were in the rehearsal and the first time all of us heard it, we just knew this was magical. It was like, even if you don't download the album, to like people who are watching, just download him singing that song because it is so it's just amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That feeds into the next question, which is, did you have a favorite discovery from doing a show that wasn't in English?
Well, I think I'd never done it in English. I'd only ever done it in Yiddish. So, but I don't know how to answer that question, but we did perform the show, over 500 times. So there was that type of experience of doing the same show for almost 2 years straight.
Yeah.
Where, it's you make lots of discoveries while you're on stage. It's even especially as the fiddler role. So much of what I'm doing is I'm there to support Tevye, or I'm there to try to pull him in one direction or the other. And especially being a female fiddler, and they kept me female. I wasn't, didn't tie my hair up, or I was wearing a skirt. So the relationship that I had with the daughters, like during the holiday when they were circling around me, because they cast a female identifying performer, I brought a feminine energy to it that I think you don't normally have in that relationship with Tevye. So that was something really fun that Stephen and I got to explore together.
Yeah. Representation matters, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I also think being able to think outside of the box as creatives is important too.
Outside, right, exactly, yeah. Allowing, not ignoring the bodies that are in the space.
Yes, yeah, like rather than casting me and then trying to pretend that I wasn't a female. They were like, okay. And I also sometimes pushed for it too. Like, sometimes if the choreographer was like, oh, well, the fiddler's more a they figure. And I'm like, you cast a woman.
Cast a woman.
The wardrobe team put the buttons on the female side.
So good. That's so great.
No, but for us, I mean, because that's also a route you could take. But for us, especially for the daughters, that was something very special for us, that I kind of was their voice in those moments of where Tevye is struggling between tradition and his daughters.
Yeah. Yeah. Very awesome.
Yeah.
What else you got, Liam?
Do you find playing with other musicians a different challenge than playing by yourself, especially if you're playing on your own for a while before joining once? What's it like to be a musician and an actor at the same time?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think I know who asked this question.
Musician and actor at the same time. I think I think it's hard for me to answer because the work I've done professionally has only been as an actor musician. So I don't know what it's like to perform in a professional orchestra. But something that's really special about being an actor musician is you're not just sitting in a chair playing, you're engaging your full body, and it's the whole point is to connect with the other people on stage. And I think I'm sure that's what musicians do in orchestras too. I'm sure that is a huge part of their rehearsal process. But I think when you're physically on stage and you're jumping around and playing together and trying to find the joy, and you're as an actor, you're making discoveries, and the character, like the way you play something becomes a character. Each line, depending on what you're doing. That was something that was really fun to play with in Fiddler, because I played the same theme over and over, but giving it a different character every time was something that was fun to play with, depending on where we were in the arc
of the story. Yeah. Part of the storytelling. Awesome.
How do you synthesize playing an instrument into your acting and how your character is feeling? Is this something that is taught to you as a musician, or did the fantastic Joel Grey have some ideas for you? Also, any incredible Joel Grey stories?
I know who this is from too, I think.
Joel. I have so many Joel Grey stories, but I can't like there's not one particular Joel Grey story that comes to mind. You
don't have to squeeze a blood from the rock. You can just
No, he is an incredible artist with vision.
Great.
And he has been wanting to do that show for his whole life. His father, Mickey Katz, is a very famous klezmer musician. He grew up in a family where they spoke kitchen Yiddish. That's what they call it. I learned all about this.
Kitchen Yiddish.
Yeah, kitchen Yiddish. It's like as opposed to
the Yiddish you speak when you go to someone else's house or you see them in the street.
Well, I think as opposed to, in a lot of ways that immigrants have, first generation immigrants have explained that their parents purposefully didn't speak their native tongue around them because they wanted their kids to better assimilate.
Yeah.
I think that is kind of kitchen Yiddish, where it's some, you hear some Yiddish words,
okay.
but you're not fluent
It's
in
like-
Yiddish growing up.
Spanglish is like where you're mixing it together. You're
So, like,
dropping it in Spanish in the middle of your English. I think it's probably similar.
Mishmash of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Got it.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's a Yiddish saying, mishmash.
Mishmash.
We should look that up.
Maybe.
But anyway, so the point is, in the rehearsal room, he came in with such a strong vision and really, really pushed the actors to be so truthful. He didn't want any shtick. He wanted it raw. He wanted it honest. And yeah, I mean, especially for Artevia and Golda, I mean, that rehearsal process was not only were they doing a show in a language that isn't their native tongue, but just to have Joel pushing so hard for honest acting
Right.
was, I mean, I was exhausted watching them work, but it was an experience I'll never forget. A really
Sure.
beautiful experience. Yeah, so that's my Joel Grey bit.
Hmm.
What was the other part of that question?
First part was, how do you synthesize playing an instrument into your acting and how your character is feeling?
Oh,
Mhm.
that's what we were just kind of talking about.
Yeah, I think it's funny because since I played violin up till I was 18, but I never studied it in a intense classical environment. So I don't have a lot of violin technique that most professional violinists would have. So the only thing I can do is I have a good ear as a musician, and so I try to like make the sound that I have in my mind through my emotion behind it. Like, I guess that's the only way I can
Sure.
come at it in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
Which for most acting musician shows is you can kind of get away with rather than having like perfect technique. You can come at it with your heart and still tell the story. So I don't know. I think that as long as your intention is there, it's hard not to make it happen. Sound.
It comes through as long as you're playing that part or really giving into to what's happening in the story at that moment. Then it comes
Yeah.
through the music
Yeah, as long as you're living in
in the moment there.
the circumstances.
Oh, in the circumstances. Oh, those.
Yeah.
Just those.
Yeah.
That concludes the comment section.
Great.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Newt-
Thanks.
Newton's lightning round in a lightning storm, I think, is what's next.
The lightning storm and lightning round. Thanks everybody who submitted your questions. If you still have comments and things, you can always still put them down there. No worries with that. Yes, Lauren, we're gonna do a lightning round. And if you've been following it along at home, a lightning round is just me asking Lauren some quick questions, and she can give a one-word answer, requiring no explanation unless I would like one. Lauren,
Okay.
are you ready for that?
I think so.
Okay. What's the best way to have eggs?
Scrambled.
Scrambled.
But it has to be like a soft scramble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's
gotta be a
what's-
Scramble.
a soft
Fluff.
scramble?
Fluffy.
Oh, a fluffy situation.
Like a runny scramble. And that's actually a lie. I mostly eat soft boiled eggs. I don't know. The pressure of having to answer quickly.
Well, now everyone's like, she's a liar. She likes soft pudding.
We get
Okay. Best way to have potatoes.
I mean, come on, fries. If you really have a choice.
yeah.
Or latke, keeping with the theme, wine or beer or liquor.
Probably beer.
Great.
I like wine though.
Wine's really, yeah.
This season, beer.
Okay. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Tea?
Coffee.
Oh, coffee. I said tea. I was like, you're your first tea. Your first tea.
I know this is supposed to be lightning round, but during the run of Fiddler, me, Evya, and the guy that played Fiedzka, because we were so bored, apparently, decided to go one whole month without caffeine. And it was the hardest. I'm so addicted to coffee. It was a miserable month. And then I just accepted it. This substance makes me feel better.
It's just really great, right? Yeah, it just helps. Coffee's great. All right. Favorite holiday?
Holiday? Probably Thanksgiving.
It's mine too, but why?
I mean, I was family.
Or the other F word, food. Yeah, okay, no problem. All right, so favorite favorite day of the week.
I guess probably if I'm doing a show. Oh, that sounds awful. I was
what's that?
No, I was gonna say
It's gonna go with Monday.
If I'm doing a show, it's Monday.
Yeah, that's so awful. That is that's awful.
You know what?
No, it's not. It's a day of rest. You appreciate your rest. That's okay.
Yeah, you recuperate. Listen, it's all right.
It's a judgment-free zone. Unless you eat the wrong kind of potato, and then Newton's going to judge you real hard.
Totally going to judge you hard if you're like, I don't eat potatoes. I'm be like, what's your problem? You haven't had a good potato meal. So Mondays?
Like you. Now every day is a Monday. So
every day is a Monday.
2020. That's the slogan, along with
Wait, if you're an artist, every day is a Monday. If you're like a theater artist.
Yeah.
But if you're like a muggle, if you're a muggle and you say every day is a Monday, that sounds depressing because no one likes Monday.
But,
Muggles don't
but
like
isn't it a little depressing still, even if you're a muggle?
Well, so because Mondays give muggles anxiety because they're going back to work.
Right. I mean, they're all good. So
they're all good. Okay, cool. All right. Texting or talking on the phone?
Talking on the phone.
That's interesting. Okay. Let's see. That's all I got for the lightning round. Let's go into, now we're going to move from lightning round into the James Lipton questions, which late James Lipton, would read these questions to the guests that he would have on the Inside the Actors Studio show, or sessions that he would have, because I think some of them not all of them were filmed. I just really like these questions, and I like the way what they bring out. So I'm going to ask those questions in a second. When we end here, we're going to put up a video, Lauren. Yeah? Yeah. Tell us just really quickly what that video is about.
All right. So I made a tutorial about my looper pedal because I'm sure Lena and Newton can tell you guys, trying to put together a video with a bunch of people singing at the same time or musicians playing at the same time, you cannot do it live. You have to do it pre-recorded.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating not being able to like play with people at the same time. Mm-hmm. So I've had this looper pedal for a while because I had this idea that I could be that awesome street musician, but I'm not. So,
yes,
so no, I'm not. But I'm working on being cool. So okay. So I finally have the time to play around with my looper pedal. So I have a song that I'm playing on my looper pedal for you guys, and along with some info about how looper pedals work.
Ooh, that's very cool. Can't wait for everyone to check that out. Okay, let's move into the James Lipton questions. Lauren, are you ready? Did you look these up? Did you?
No.
Okay.
Didn't.
All right. You wanted to.
Prepared as possible to answer your. No, just kidding.
They're not bad. They're easier than how are you? So that's Okay. All right. So, Lauren, What is your favorite word?
I don't know. I don't know. Um, if we're talking Scrabble, which I've been playing a lot of, it's probably za.
Za.
There you go.
A lot of points.
It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points in the right place. This is so true.
Right place, it's a lot of points.
That's so true. It's good.
My mom and I have been playing a ton of Scrabble recently.
But from playing all this Scrabble and thinking about words way more than you
Za.
you struggled to pull out.
Za.
All right, cool. I'm just checking. This one will be maybe a little easier. What is your least favorite word?
I don't know. I don't know. The only word that's coming to mind is moist, but I like the word moist.
Okay. So
All
maybe
words have value.
you,
Well, that's a lie. There are specific words I think we all know of that are not good words. So one of those words.
okay. All right.
Great.
All right, cool. What turns you on?
I think. Well, I miss. Is this lame? I miss live theater. Like, I think that being in a space with strangers and seeing a story that I've never seen before, I miss that. That's an exciting, gets me like creative and my fire lit.
Awesome. Lights your lantern. Great.
Yes.
What turns you off?
I think people judging others.
There's none of that going on here.
No.
I'm being sincere. And
in our world right now. Yeah, I think especially in the social media world, it's like people being so quick to label others and jump on just to make a statement as if you are the expert, rather than admitting that we don't know everything. And we have so much growing and learning to still do.
Yeah.
It's got to listen to other people.
Yeah. What sound or noise do you love?
Rain.
What sound or noise do you hate?
The clicking of a keyboard when I'm trying to go to bed.
That's
very specific.
That's very specific. Is your husband watching this right now? Or nearby?
He's on his computer. Yeah, he can't hear me.
Do you hear the clicking right now?
No, I can't. But I am such an early bird, especially now. So my bedtime is like 10:30.
Now, right? Yeah.
Yes, now. My bedtime has been 10:30, and so obviously he's a normal human who is not tired at that time, and just
Thanks. He does some work.
Clicking.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That really gets you.
Your
Okay.
brain. Yep.
What is your favorite curse word?
It's funny because the word I just said, my husband gets me on every time I say that's actually a curse word in Turkish.
Oh.
So
what does it mean?
I feel weird saying it.
Oh, okay. Don't say it.
It's your
Don't.
You got it?
We get it. Thanks, Lauren.
Like here.
So that's your favorite Turkish curse word, but what is your favorite English?
Sorry.
That's okay.
I don't know. I guess I do use the F word quite a bit.
Fuck.
Yes.
Okay, great. I like to drop those.
It gives you. It has all those consonants you crave.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on there. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Oh my God. I'm obsessed with dancers. I wish dancers are so cool. They
are. Yeah.
100% wish that I were a dancer.
Great.
I love that, like, expressing with your body, and it's just so cool.
So cool stuff. What profession would you not like to do?
Any office job, I think, or anything that's monotonous. Which is funny because our career actually gets pretty monotonous when you're in a show, because you're doing the same thing over and over.
That's why Mondays are great.
Yeah. No, but we're still able to, like, be creative in that.
Sure.
But yeah, just, I don't know, sitting at a desk sounds rough.
I just want to say to all those who sit at desks,
Yes.
Your job.
It's been this throughout the entire series that's the answer to this question.
If you sit at a desk, you know, that's where you are. We're just speaking from an artist's perspective that we would rather not do that. Although I've done that too. So
We were those kids growing up who couldn't sit still. So
I relate to that so hard. Okay. Okay, this is the final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
that's totally a James Lipton question. I remember that from all of his interviews. I don't. You led with your heart.
Nice.
Good
Good
job.
one.
The thumbs up.
But I like this. I like this. God going,
Nice one.
you.
Is that triggering for people? That question?
Everyone struggles a little bit on that one. Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own.
It is the one I admit that when I ask, I'm like, I don't know about this question, but it usually gets a nice answer.
Mhm.
What you're thinking about how you want to leave this world.
That's exactly it.
Intention you want to have going through life, I think.
Yeah.
For me, leading with my heart first is important.
Well, I'd like to say that I think that you do that with your artistry and as a friend, and I'm sure as a daughter and a wife that you lead with your heart and a sister. Do you have siblings?
I do. My brother and sister they're twins. They're 3 years older. Yes.
Got it. So I'm sure I've seen you lead with your heart. It's why we're so excited to have you here. You're just like a really great light, and we're happy to have you on our show. We thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
Yeah, of course.
It was you guys didn't get to watch, but we were talking to each other for like an hour this morning during tech.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's supposed to be thing, and it was an hour.
Yeah. Our tech rehearsals are usually 20 minutes, and it was like an hour long today. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. So where can people find you if they're looking for you? Got any projects that are coming up? Here's your chance. Look straight in the camera and give it up.
Projects. No projects coming up. Just the weird creative stuff that I'm coming up with in my mind, and occasional concerts that I might be participating in, those online concerts. But yeah, if you want to see that weird video I did that we talked about, you can go to my Instagram. That's where I post some weird fun videos.
Okay.
That's Taran Lamas, like name Lauren Thomas, but switch those letters. And my website. So my professional actor name is Lauren Jean Thomas. That's because I had to add the name for us actors know that we have to change our name sometimes when we join the union.
That's right.
Anyway, but so my website is Lauren J. Thomas. I really am a music teacher, as much as I was making fun of that video. So if anyone who's watching has like kids or is curious about being an actor musician or wants to explore that, please reach out to me. I love teaching. I wouldn't have done 2 years in Turkey teaching if I didn't love teaching. So Yeah,
Awesome.
keep
Well,
in touch.
Lauren, thank you so much for being with us. It really does warm our hearts to see you and be there. And hopefully we'll continue to talk to you and work on some things. Thanks everyone else out there in Facebook land for joining us on this very special Creative Connections. Be sure to check out the video that I'll post of Lauren's loop pedal tutorial. And I'm going to take us out on Get Thee Out from...
Oh no! My
Get
God.
thee out, get thee hence, get thee out of the land from whence you came. From whence you came.
From whence you came.
How will we but sight of all you people wandering about?
Everybody, thanks
It's
so much
a
for joining
shame.
us. Join us next time.
What a shame. Get thee out. Get thee out, get thee hence, get thee out of the land from whence you came. From whence you came. It's a pity